Dear students, welcome to my class. In this class, I am going to start a new lesson known as solid state from physical chemistry. Actually, this lesson is a continuation for our states of matter that we had studied during our 11th standard. In the 11th standard, we have studied liquid state as well as gaseous state. Now we are going to study the solid state of the matter. Actually, any matter can exist as a gas or a liquid or solid, and that state will be decided by the two opposing forces presenting in them. For example, if we take gaseous state, what the two opposing forces are intermolecular forces and thermal forces. Opposing forces means opposite forces. For example, thermal forces keep the molecules apart from one another. Keep one apart from the other. Intermolecular forces keep the molecules together. There are two sets of forces. One is thermal forces and the other one is intermolecular forces. Thermal forces keep the molecules apart, whereas the intermolecular forces keep the molecules together. If you take gaseous state, the intermolecular forces are lesser than that of thermal forces. As the thermal forces are more, the molecules try to move one away from the other. In case of solid state, the intermolecular forces are stronger. Attractive forces are stronger. The thermal forces that keep the molecules one away from the other are weaker. So that due to the strong thermal forces, intermolecular forces, in solids, the molecules are very close. If you take liquid state, the molecules will have two sets of forces here also, but the thermal forces are slightly greater than that of intermolecular forces. Let us study in detail. Let us consider gaseous state first. Let us recall the points that we had studied in our first PU. In gaseous state, we all know that the molecules move freely in all the directions because they don't have any attraction forces among themselves or negligible forces of attractions exist among themselves. That's why they are free to move, and they exert pressure. They make collisions on the walls of the container, and it is responsible for the pressure of the gas. We can study the properties of gas by their characteristics like boiling points, majorly the boiling points, and compressibility factor, and their ability to compress. Compressibility factor discusses how a gas can be compressed to change into a liquid. We had studied in first P. If you take liquid, here also molecules move freely. One thing is there in case of gas, it won't have any definite volume, but liquid will have a definite volume. It takes the volume of the container. And here liquids can be studied by their boiling points, viscosity, surface tension. Now what about solids? First of all, we should remember the state matter is same here, only their state is changing. How the state is changed or transformed or converted? By varying the temperature. When you change the temperature of the system, the intermolecular forces and the thermal forces will be deciding the state of the matter. Now let us discuss the solid state directly. In solid state, we have certain general characteristics for the solids. We all know that solids have a definite mass. The first characteristics of solid is we have a definite mass. These will have a definite volume. Fixed volume will be there. And also shape. They will have a definite geometrical structure. Of course, the definite shape is there only for crystalline solids. We will discuss later. But anyway, all the solids will have a definite mass, volume and shape. Second characteristics of solid is they have very short interparticular distance. They have short interparticular distance. What is meant by an interparticular distance? Distance between the particles. What is meant by a particle of the matter? Particle means here it may be atoms or ions or the molecules. If in any matter, if atoms may be taken as the particles, if it has atoms. If it is made of molecules, yeah, molecules are the particles. In the same way, particles may be ions even. Interparticular distance means the distance between the two particles. So if you take solids, they are very close, short distance. If you take gas, the molecular distance is more. If you take liquids, the molecular distance is moderate, interparticular distance. If you take solids, the interparticular distance is very short. That means particles are very close to each other. As the particles are very close, they have very strong attraction forces. Strong forces of attractions. We consider it as intermolecular forces. We consider it as intermolecular forces. So what we can say, solids have strong intermolecular forces, nothing but attractive forces. And fourth point is they cannot move. They do not have any translatory motion. If you take gas, the particles are very free to move. Liquids also, they move freely. But if you take solids, they don't have any translatory motion. They can only oscillate. That means they have only oscillatory motion. What is meant by an oscillatory motion? That means solid particles, they cannot leave their position and move to the another position. If it is a solid particle, it can oscillate like simple harmonic motion. It is nothing but simple harmonic motion. This is the mean position. Here they are making a oscillation about their mean position. So only oscillatory motion exists for solids, no translatory motion. But gases and liquid, they can move from one place to another place. Why they don't have any translatory motion? Because they are strongly bound by the intermolecular forces, attractive forces. And they are very rigid and incompressible. They are very rigid and also incompressible. You all know that gases can be compressible. But if you take solid, the particles are very strong. Also the distance between the molecules, particles will be very least. So they are incompressible. We cannot compress. No compressibility exists here. So these are the general characteristics of any solid. So what are the general characteristics? They have a definite mass, volume and shape. Second thing, the interparticular distances are very short. The molecules will be very closer to each other. Strong forces of attraction. That means they have high intermolecular forces. Next one, oscillatory motion. They have only vibratory motion. They will oscillate about their mean position. They do not leave their actual position. And lastly, we have rigid. They are very rigid and incompressible, and so they are incompressible. These are the general characteristics of the solid state. Now let us move to the classification of the solids. So as the substances, based on their state, they are classified into gases, liquids and solids. Again, these solids have been classified into two major classes, that is crystalline solids, and the second one is amorphous solid. What are the two classes of the solids? So solids will be classified into crystalline solid or crystalline solid, and the second class of the solids is amorphous. So all the solids will be either crystalline solids or amorphous solids. Let us study the characteristic, what is meant by crystalline solid and what is meant by amorphous solid. So while studying both the crystalline solids and amorphous solids, we will make a comparison also. The comparative study will be easy to understand the characteristics of crystalline solids and amorphous solids. If you take a crystalline solid, what is meant by crystalline solids? For example, take an NaCl crystal, or take copper metal, or take KCl solid, or take iodine crystals. These are all crystalline solids. But what is meant by crystalline solids? The solids in which the particles are arranged with a definite arrangement and an orderly arrangement. The solids in which the particles have a definite and orderly arrangement. Crystalline solids will have a definite and orderly arrangement of the particles. Arrangement of the particles. So that means if all the particles here, maybe molecules or atoms or ions based on the type of the crystal. If the particles are arranged in a particular order, definite order, then it is called as a crystalline solid. Here this order will be repeated for several times. For example, if you see a classroom, for each desk there will be 4 students and this type of arrangement is repeated throughout the classroom. Here also this orderly arrangement will exist throughout the crystal, not for only a short distance. So to entire crystal there will be a particularly orderly arrangement. I will show how it is. And on the other hand, what is an amorphous solid? Amorphous means that has no definite form. Amorphous means, the meaning of the word amorphous means that has no definite form. That means there is no definite orderly arrangement of the particles. Any particular arrangement of the particles will not be there. That will be arranged for a certain distance and the arrangement will be changed to the, if you move to the other portion of the crystal. For example, if you take a public meeting, the gathering of people will not have any particular arrangement. Different types of arrangements will be there. In classroom, the students will be arranged in an orderly manner. But when you take any open gathering where no any proper sitting arrangement is there, not there, what you can see, scattered different kinds of arrangements in different directions will be there. So here orderly arrangement, no orderly, the crystalline solid where no definite orderly arrangement. No definite orderly arrangement of the particles. This is what called as a crystal. Definite and orderly arrangement of the particles exists in case of a crystalline solids. In case of a amorphous solid, there is no any orderly arrangement. The particles are randomly positioned. They will be scattered in all the directions. Actually, this arrangement is for a long distance. It exists for entire crystal. It is called as a long range order. It exists, it will have long range order. This orderly arrangement will be for entire crystal, not for a short distance. If you take any crystal, the arrangement of the particles is repeated periodically over entire crystal. So that is called as a long range order. I will show you now. Here it will be short range order. Here also orderly arrangement is there only for certain distance. Again the orderly arrangement will be changed. The order will be disordered. That means orderly arrangement will not be repeated here continuously. This is what a short range order. I will show by taking quartz and quartz glass. Quartz is an example for crystalline solid. Quartz glass is an example for amorphous solid. If you take a crystalline solid, I will show what is meant by long range and short range. For example, if quartz glass is taken, in quartz glass, the arrangement of the particles is in an order that will be repeated periodically over the entire crystal. So here on one side it is crystalline, on the other side it is amorphous. Here just I am explaining what is an orderly arrangement. For example, if you take look here, this is quartz, which is a crystal. So here the black dots indicates particles. Just I am putting some particles. I am taking a crystalline subject. In this substance you can see the orderly arrangement over the entire crystal, not for a short distance here. For entire throughout the crystal we have a repeated sequence. So you can see here, this is nothing but quartz. If you see the entire crystal, there is a repeated pattern. So here I am again using a red color to distinguish the other particles. You can see the particles are sequentially arranged with a different and repeated pattern here. Clearly we can see the particles are arranged with a definite order. The order is definite and this will be repeated throughout the crystal. To understand the solid state, we need to understand the fundamental nature and characteristics of the crystal. So if you look here, this is the quartz here. You can clearly see that the black particles as well as red colored particles are arranged in a sequence. A repeated sequence will be presenting here. Whereas if you take a quartz glass, it's an amorphous. Of course, quartz, crystalline solids have some applications, as well as amorphous are also very useful for us. When you touch any crystal, it will be very rough, whereas when you touch an amorphous will be very smooth. Here I am going to draw an amorphous quartz glass. Here also you can see that this is an amorphous. What I am drawing is an amorphous. You can see there is no any orderly arrangement of the particles here. Here also the black colored particles are shown, and also I am going to indicate the red colored particles. What I am drawing is an amorphous solid. Here clearly you can see the particles are not having any regular sequence. Here we don't have any sequence. You can see there is no any orderly arrangement. So disorderly arrangement. Even if the orderly arrangement is there, that is only for a short distance. If you move along the crystal, again the order will be changed. That is what meant by long range order and short range order. Short range order exists in case of amorphous. That means orderly arrangement is seen only for a short distance. Whereas in crystalline, the orderly crystalline solids, the orderly arrangement exists throughout the crystal. This is the next characteristics of the crystalline solids. So once again recall all the points. Crystalline solids will have a definite and regular geometrical arrangement of the particles, repeated arrangement of the particles, and these have long range order. Whereas amorphous do not have a regular and definite arrangement of the particles. They are randomly arranged, and this arrangement of the particles only for a short order. And next thing is if you take any crystalline solid, that will have a definite melting point. You know what is meant by melting point? Definite melting point exists for any crystal. That means the crystal melts at a particular temperature. Say for example 450 degrees centigrade. If I say that melting point of a particular crystal is 450 degrees centigrade, that melts sharply at 450 degrees centigrade. It changes from solid state to liquid state at that particular temperature. But no such sharp melting points exist in case of amorphous solids. Here you can say it as a sharp melting point. It is a sharp melting point. That means at one particular temperature, it completely changes from solid state to liquid state. Here, no sharp melting point. Amorphous do not have any sharp melting point. They have range of temperatures. Range of temperature means, for example, if you take any amorphous crystal, I cannot say what is its exact melting point because it will melt. For example, it melts from 500 degrees centigrade to 510 degrees centigrade. That means what is its melting temperature? We are not sure because it's melting from 510 degrees centigrade, 500 degrees centigrade, and continues to melt till 510 degrees centigrade. That means it has a range of melting point. It won't have any particular or sharp melting point. This is the difference in case of amorphous. Solids will have a sharp melting point, whereas amorphous do not have any sharp melting point. In the same way, enthalpy of fusion also definite value here. The same way you can understand enthalpy of fusion, definite enthalpy of fusion. Definite enthalpy of fusion exists for a crystalline solid, and if you study the same characteristic, they do not have a definite enthalpy of fusion. Melting point is not sharp for amorphous. Even the enthalpy of fusion is also not any particular value. Here both are a particular value, sharp, both are sharp. And the next point we are going to study is when you cut any crystalline solid with a sharp tool, we'll get pieces. It will be fractured. If you take any crystalline solid like NaCl or KCl or diamond, anything, so when you cut with a hard tool, very sharp tool, it will be broken into pieces. So if you see the pieces, they will have a smooth surface. So the pieces formed by breaking the crystalline solids will be having a smooth surface. That is called as a clean cleavage. What is meant by cleavage? Nothing but breaking. So when you break by using a sharp tool, the crystalline solids will get pieces with a smooth surface. Their surface will be very smooth after breaking. That is called as a clean cleavage. But here the cleavage property is no clean cleavage. Look here, no clean cleavage. I mean, if you break any amorphous substance, it will be fractured into pieces. If you observe that pieces, they will be uneven on the surface. They are very rough, unevenly. For example, this is uneven. You can see this is the surface of the broken amorphous. Here it is uneven. But if you take a crystalline, the surface is even. So a clean cleavage exists in case of a solid. If it is a crystalline solid, after breaking, we will get a smooth surface. Clean cleavage is possible. Here no clean cleavage is existing in case of amorphous solid. Let us move to the next characteristic. So once again briefly recall, crystalline will have a definite arrangement of the particles throughout the crystal system. Amorphous do not have any definite arrangement. Crystals will have a definite melting point and enthalpy of fusion. Amorphous do not have a sharp melting point and enthalpy of fusion. And a clean cleavage exists in case of a crystal. Cleavage means when you cut, it will be broken into pieces. The pieces will have a smooth surface in case of a crystalline solid, and it is non-clean cleavage. Uneven surfaces will be formed on the surface when it is broken. Now let us go for the next property. The crystalline solids are anisotropic. This is the next property, anisotropy. These are anisotropic. ANISOTROPIC. These are anisotropic. And these are anisotropic, and this is isotropic. What is meant by anisotropy and isotropy? Isotropy means having different physical properties same in all the directions. if the physical properties, if you take along x-axis or y-axis or z-axis of the substance, if the physical properties remain same, then it will call as isotropic. Here for amorphous it is isotropic, not for crystalline solids. If you measure the physical properties like refractive index, conductivity, electrical resistance, that will be same in all the directions for an amorphous. But for a crystal, if you measure the refractive index values in different directions, it will be different. Why it is so? Let us examine. Let us take one crystal here to understand why it is anisotropic. Here just for example, I am drawing a crystal here. In this crystal again some kind of particles I have shown with black colored dots, and other particles just I am using red. These are red, indicated with red colored particles. Only just to show that the different kind of particles are present, just I am using different colors here. But anyway, this is a crystalline system. Here we have different particles. Now this is let it be x-axis, and this is y-axis, and I am taking even the z-axis. Let it be. This is x-axis and this is y and z-axis. If you observe, it is a crystalline system or crystalline solid. You can see here in x direction only black colored particles are present. For example here. For example, if I take y direction, only red colored particles are present. If I take z axis, you can see both red colored and black particles are arranged sequentially. That means the arrangement of the particles is not same in the different directions. It is different. You can clearly see. So that if you measure the properties in different directions, for example, refractive index in this direction, x direction you can measure, in y direction you can measure, z direction you can measure the physical property. That will not be same. Why the physical property is not same? Because with the direction, the arrangement of the particles is varying. You can clearly see along x one kind of arrangement, along y one kind of arrangement, and along z direction it is a different kind. So with the direction, the physical properties are varying. So that is called as anisotropy. What is anisotropy? Showing different values of physical properties in different directions. Different directions showing different values of physical properties, not the same values. Though the crystal is same, but its physical properties will not remain same in different directions. That is called as anisotropy. Whereas if you take an amorphous, it is isotropic. It remains same in all the directions. For example, here I have taken some amorphous. You know that amorphous means there will not be any orderly arrangement of the particles. So here again I am using some black colored particles, and I am also using some red colored particles scattered throughout the substance. For example, if you see here, in any direction, there is no any difference in the order. They are scattered in all the directions. Here, one direction will have one kind of arrangement here in a crystal. Here, no such arrangements. It is scattered. It is randomly arranged. So that there is no any particular value of, there is no difference in the physical characteristics in any direction. If you take refractive index along the x-axis or y-axis, along the z-axis, you will not find any difference in the physical properties. Such a thing is known as isotropy. So the properties of amorphous are isotropic, and these are anisotropic. These are some of the differences related to the crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Let me recall briefly. What are crystalline solids? The solids which have a regular and orderly arrangement of the particles and that are repeated sequentially by certain intervals are known as crystalline solids. These will have a sharp melting points and enthalpy of fusion, and these will have a clean cleavage when you break into pieces. And also I told you that the properties of crystalline solids are anisotropic. What is an amorphous? The solids in which there is no orderly arrangement of the particles, is known as amorphous solids. They don't have any sharp melting points and no definite enthalpy of fusion, and they do not give any clean cleavage. When it is broken into pieces, their surfaces will be very rough. And I told you that their properties, physical properties, will remain same in all the directions, and that is known as isotropic. So these are the general characteristics of crystalline solids and as well as amorphous solids. Now these crystalline solids will be again classified into different types, that is 4 types. We are going to discuss that classification in the classification of the solids, crystalline solids, in the next class. Thank you.